What is up, everybody? We got GideonXL here, and we got another special guest as usual. My brother, please introduce yourself.
What's on, everyone? It's me, BPG. If you don't know my channel on YouTube, I am an analytical YouTube creator, would be more precise, for Marvel Strike Force, doing content around the events that go on within the game and how to best crush them free to play, which we do constantly for everyone who is a part of the community that watches that, and also things about like the economy within the game. And so today we wanted to discuss a little bit about the newest economy for the free to play community and all communities really, but mostly the free to play community. That is the subject, the character release and character cadence.
Outstanding. It's going to be good, man. Big Positive Geek's a good cat. Like I said, he's got that analytical mind, like he just said. It's not really my flow. So being able to tap into him is a wonderful thing. And we're on the Scopely call at one point.
We were before things changed, you know. What can we say? You know, I made a mistake. I owned up to that mistake. I was as you would comment, you know, I was a man. I owned up to the mistake. I owned it. You know, and unfortunately, whenever you make a mistake in life, there are consequences, and that consequence was me having to leave the Envoy program. But you know, as I've mentioned in my video from Monday with the event breakdown and that, and my announcement there, unfortunately, as I've spoke to you about it, Gid, because there is that two-tier kind of thing, and I know this happens in life with everything. You know, everyone, there's two tiers in life to everyone, but the way I was brought up and my morals and my sort of stature is the fact that you treat everyone exactly how you want to be treated and exactly the same. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're young, old. It doesn't matter whether you're, you know, colored, uncolored. It doesn't matter what religion you're from. It doesn't matter who you're from. You are treated the same no matter what you are. Whether you've got £1 million in the bank or nothing in the bank, you treat that person exactly the same as what you would be, you know, A, as what you would want to be treated, but B, as, you know, as if they're a human. And unfortunately, there is a bit of a two-tierness going on within the Envoy program where certain creators would get away with things and certain creators don't. So morally, I can't go back there, basically. It's the long and short of it.
I respect that. I do. I respect that. I respect that. So Henry, we're going to just go back and forth real quick. Henry's saying there's a problem with the audio. That BPG is loud or Gideon is soft. One or the other. So
I can bring myself down a little bit. How does that sound now, Henry?
And I don't know where I am. I made an adjustment to mine. I don't know where that is. But if you can let us know what you think of the sound. No, but like, all right, he said it's better. He said it's better.
Brilliant. Ideal.
That's what happens when it's live, brother. No, and I appreciate you. No, so we were there, and no, I respect that, dude. Like 100%, I respect that, because like it's just something that's wrong with the world. Is cats don't like whatever. People mess up. I messed up. I've said stupid stuff. It happens, and you own it. Like you said, I don't think it was cool that they gave you the bump. It's not right. But we can still do cool stuff and have talks
cool
like
stuff
this.
Like this.
Yeah,
exactly. So
for sure, people want to see it, man. KT, this is before we started. I don't even know if he's here. I'm hoping he's here, but this is before we started. When I loaded up, it was already sitting there. So people are excited, man.
Brother.
That's a good dude.
Love to see you, man. Love to see you.
That's a good dude. But Henry said he's curious. Can anything positive really be said about this? Right. So those people are thinking about it. They're thinking about it, man.
Yeah, of course they are, man. Of course they are. So let's just break it down very quickly what they said. So or said to us within the meeting as well, I believe, so that it's more sort of clear to everyone, because I think there's been a lot of things missed. There are a lot of people who are maybe creating a lot of fuss over this, even though it doesn't really affect them as players, so to speak. Almost kind of semi-projecting, which might sound like me being a bit cocky, but so on the call with Ryan Jacobson and in the blog, we went through this whole new character cadence, and there were things that I didn't agree with in that meeting. You and I know we were shown some graphs, which were just them trying to say that free-to-play players were unlocking characters, new characters under this new method within the first 7 days that they wouldn't have done beforehand. However, they hadn't really, being the analytical person that I am, the question I asked straight away was, have you got this information broken down into 675 power core unlocks and normal, which they didn't have. Surprise, surprise. But and the fact that they chose the two teams that they did to show us that data, that things are going better, is again a little bit funny, because the two teams that they focused on for it was the Illuminati and Annihilators. Now, the Illuminati were a team that if you wanted to get Captain Britain as a free-to-play player, you were going to use your power cores to effectively, unlock those characters and try your luck to get to those 5 stars for Hank and Shuri, which would have been insane as a free-to-play player, in my honest opinion, but which is why I didn't do it. But they would have, some people I know, Doolin was a classic example here. I know he's not free to play, but he is a battle pass buyer. He cored for Shuri to get her to 5 stars, and then I think he was gifted Hank to be able to go and get Captain Britain. But overall, he was obviously of that mindset to try. Now, this is probably something where we need to bring up a little bit, which is the battle pass, and how, in some ways, yes, this is bad for pass buyers, but I've been doing a little bit more sort of digging with pass buying and stuff like that. I don't buy the passes myself, but obviously I've been doing a little bit of the research. So cores for pass buying, I don't know if you can bring that picture up, Gid, or if you want me to bring it up.
If you know where it is, go for it. Otherwise, I will look. I will see what I can find, because I know we got a couple pictures.
We have lots of pictures. So I'm going to do this. And we are going to go this one here. So this is from, let's go with that. So this is from the Discord chat that we've had earlier on. And this is what I've done with the power cores. So there is a lot of complaints from strike pass buyers that they are feel like they're going to be a little bit left out in the cold because of the passes and the thing. But you're getting additional power core income from that strike pass, and it equates to quite a lot. You're actually getting 42,900 cores per year if you were someone who bought the battle pass and the strike pass every week. So 1 week you buy the battle pass, the next week you buy the strike pass, so on and so forth. You're and spending that $80 a month, which is that key figure that everyone is talking about. You're actually getting 42,900 power cores. That is the equivalent of 63 character core orbs. Now, that is effectively 6 character core orbs that you can get, or 6 characters if you're looking at the averages. That will equate to 6 characters that you can sort of unlock using those power cores just from the strike pass itself. So that's without any anything else. Now, if we were to equate that sort of over the course of characters themselves, it does work out a little bit more, obviously, because you're paying that $80 a month, which is $1,000 a year. I think that was the figure that was banded about in the call, wasn't it? It was $1,000 a year for the if you were to buy all the strike passes and the battle passes. And 6 characters obviously wouldn't cost you that. 6 characters would cost you somewhere in the region of $180. I want to say $300. Hey, Jack Reacher is here.
Jack's the man, bro. What's up, Jack? It's always good to have you, brother. Much appreciated. Looking forward to your comments. Well, I know you got some strong feelings on it, and that's okay, man. We can talk about it. It's good.
Yeah, this is what we want. We want this to be a completely open sort of discussion, but also bringing up some of the things that are available to people, you know, like the additional power cores available from the strike pass and battle pass that you get over someone who is free to play is quite substantial. I know you're paying for that, and you're paying for everything that's inside the strike passes and the battle passes, but that you know, that resource is there for you to use over and above what you would have if you were completely free to play. So that is one thing that I wanted to bring up with strike passes. Now, again, going back to the call that we have with Ryan, the call that we had with Ryan, obviously we didn't, he didn't have the figures for 675 core orbs for things, but we were told that the characters that were going to be made available within 30 days of release. So we've got Gladiator that's just come out now with a free to play, or last week with a free to play event. And I believe the data mines show that next week we have a Sentinel free to play event. So that's again within the 30-day period. And one key thing that was brought up, and I think this is partially what is making everyone sort of, how can we say, go a little bit, is the fact that they are afraid of being locked out of content. Would you agree, Gid? Afraid of being locked out of content.
For sure.
And Ryan unequivocally said that apart from legendaries and epics, I believe was also really in that task of it, no content will be pay gated. So pocket dimensions, kiln towers, all of those sort of things, they are not going to be gated to, you know, they're not going to be paywalled, so to speak. So like we have with the Annihilators thing, and I think that didn't help Scopely overall with that whole Annihilators kerfuffle. I think if we hadn't had that issue with the Annihilators, then we might have seen something a little bit different of a reaction from the community. Not completely different. I'm not saying people wouldn't have gone like they said they did, you know, like has been going on, but I think that we might not have had such a harsh reaction to it had we not have had that whole potential gating of content, which we were told was not supposed to happen. Okay.
Jack is weighing in. So like I said, Jack, I know Jack has some strong feelings on this, and that's okay.
Yeah, dude, it's cool.
Okay.
I can completely understand what you're saying. You don't think there's anything good that can be said about this new release method. And you've said it there yourself, Jack. You're anxious, and anxiety is something that comes from change and uncomfortable change. And we've got to kind of get past that, you know, because it's not a comfortable change for us. We're just going to have to change our mindsets of how we play this game completely. Gid, you did an absolutely brilliant video, my friend, on that with your strategy, going over the fact that you have that slush fund of 5,000 power cores that you keep on hand, and whenever you go over that, you buy yourself a core orb for a character, and I think that's a very, very good strategy for people to take on. I do it slightly differently to you, so we can. I mean, well, let's have a look at where we are for for characters. So we can bring up our characters ourselves.
Or I can find them for you. Who do you want to look at first?
Let's first off, let's look at Gladiator. Well, Gore and Thanos probably is the best ones to look at.
All right. So because all the pictures are different sizes, I have
That's
to
my
adjust
fault.
them. No, it's not. It's not. We're both trying to get used to the tech and whatnot. So I think I got Thanos here for sure. Boom. So we'll show him first. So this is your Thanos?
That is my Thanos. Yeah. So full disclosure here. I did the 675 power core orb openings for Thanos. But as you can see here, I am at 4 stars. So effectively 91 shards pretty much I have got from the orbs that we've been having for Thanos. So with the event that is coming up in the very near future, the web milestone event that's coming up, I believe it's in preview right now. Let me just get the name of that one for you guys, because that will help. So there is a.
Did you say you unlocked him wholly with cores, or you did a mix of?
Yeah, no, I unlocked him wholly with cores.
Okay.
So he was unlocked on day 1. So because he's an arena character, and this is obviously my personal strategy here, arena, if you are free to play, is one of the, oh, it's not one of, it is the most important sort of modes within the game. But let's take into account, right, we have, there's one more thing I need to get up, which I should have got up before I got in there.
It's all good. It's all good.
Where are we to? So I'm going to get out my character release schedule spreadsheet, which I can obviously share with people. Yeah, Jack, I completely get that as well. The feeling of opening 20 orbs and getting 1 or 2 or none of the featured characters is trash. It is, but if you're getting a decent amount of those orbs, like let's say that you're getting, like we are at the moment, like I think we've had close to 14 or 15 orbs of Sentinel in a week. So if you're getting that is, and every week, that is going to cut, that's going to bring that time scale down slowly but surely. But let's have a look at the character release schedule here, right? So Thanos Endgame was made, his 675 core orb was available on the 23rd of the 8th, 2024. We're now the 11th of the 9th. So that is 22 days, roughly. Now, that has had some RNG to it, obviously, but 22 days to nearly get this character unlocked. And with the milestone that is coming up called Annihilator's Assembly, which I believe goes live in 1 hour and 40 minutes, there are 10 shards of Thanos, which we were told within the blog that is like the opening gambit that we'll be able to get. So we should be able to get those completely free to play. So with those 10 shards, we should have an unlock Gladiator by coring 5 or 6 orbs and the drip feed. Okay, cool. So out of interest, Jack, where are you sat in arena? That's a question to ask. Like whereabouts in arena are you sat? Where's your? Because full transparency here, I am completely free to play, but I sit within the top 20 of my arena shard. And finally, any word on the thinking behind why the orbs all have a different drop percentage?
think some of that is that they're like they self-admitted they're playing with the numbers. I think
they are playing with the numbers. Yeah,
I think they're trying to figure some stuff out.
They're playing with the numbers. I don't want to say this too much, but Scopely's main sales tactic, and if you fall into this, you fall into it. But their main sales tactic is FOMO. It is that fear of missing out. And so they are going to make those numbers look or seem worse or are worse to try and push sales. And at the end of the day, that's what they're going to do because they are a business. And we've got to remember that as players. Can't seem to break into the top 50 yet. Okay, Jack, that's cool. Once you can break into the top 50, you will find it a lot easier. I would recommend really there is a really good counter at the moment, and don't mind giving this out. It was actually big props to one of our fellow envoy, or my previously fellow envoy brother and your fellow envoy brother, Monguli, for this one, because I'm pretty sure he was the first one that showed this off. But you're currently using Monguli's team. Nice one, Jack. Yeah. So that team, which if you guys don't know, is basically Gladiator, Super Scroll, Apocalypse, Kestrel, and Nick Fury. If you have those five characters, you can beat the latest sort of lineup apart from Mephisto, but you can beat any lineup that has Super Scroll, Apocalypse, and the 3 Annihilators in it. It is so simple to do. It gets to a point where you can actually do the starting part of the fight and then just hit auto, and it will just do, it will literally do it for you. It is that much of a so Old Man Logan, Apoc, Nick Kestrel, Nick. Yeah, that's fine. Old Man Logan works as well. Perfectly fine. I just find that Scroll does a little bit of a better job with his ultimate, and being able to get that done. But yeah, so you should be able to break into that top 50, Jack. I've got faith in you. Just if they're not already at level 100 and gear to 18, get those cats to that level ASAP, because that will help you tremendously. Anyway, we're going off topic a little bit. So, as you'll see, Thanos Endgame, I would have unlocked him within the period. I know this is a sample size, but Gid, you've got your Thanos Endgame as well, brother.
Sir, let me find him real quick. I know I got him.
Both ends of the scale.
So what I have, I just got mine. So this is my Endgame account. Unless you want to see my new player account,
we can see both. Let's see both.
This is my Endgame Annihilators. Boom. So you see that 3-star, right? I got them unlocked. I only got 14 extra shards, but it's just my Annihilators as a whole. But I got him.
And roughly how many orbs have you opened for him? Do you know?
I do not. Like I said, I opened the ones that they gave me, and then if I got my 5,000, I open an extra one.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. A core for power cores.
Yeah. That's more what I was saying. Do you know roughly how many power core orbs you've opened?
I do not.
To substitute that? Okay.
I do that's not. Cool. Oh, well, we'll try this. Maybe that's something to think about. I'll start trying to keep track of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing. So the method that I use where I core unlock a character straight away or whatever, now I'm actually going to be, tracking how many power core orbs I'm opening for each character. So I know, for example, for Thanos, I was very, very lucky and I managed to unlock him within 6 power core orbs. And that was on day 1. And there you go, Thanos Endgame on your baby account. Even it looks like you've got him unlocked.
We got him.
And this is taken today, yeah. So this is as of today. The 11th of September, and these accounts are all free to play accounts.
Yes,
whereabouts do you sit in the arena for both your accounts, Gid? If you don't mind me asking as well.
Am I sharing this? I'm not supposed to be sharing this, huh?
Hey,
So this is Jack. This is what Jack has got. Or is this the right thing? Is this what's happening? I don't even know what's going on right now. I'm clicking too much stuff. No, this is still mine. Good. I'll show Jack's later if he wants.
yeah, definitely.
I kind of fluctuate in between like the 100 to this, like, so on my main account, I can probably punch into the top 50. I don't know if I'll end there. I can get in there during the day. Not necessarily saying I can stay there with the baby account. It's probably about in the 60s, same deal. I can reach, not saying that I can stay inside the 60s.
But what I'm saying here is that someone like yourself, you know, you're in a very similar position to Jack there, and you've got both Thanos unlocked, you've got Gore unlocked. So there is obviously, if you're both free to play, there's obviously something there's some difference in strategy. And it was quite good. I was talking to Boylon about this, and we were talking about power cores, because that is the big subject for us at the moment, for both myself, for Boylon, for Rage, for you, for all these free-to-play players. That is a big subject at the moment, is power core and power core income. And not spending your power cores frivolously, you know. The best thing you can do now, I hate to say this, is to look at the data mines and try to be prepping for events, or even prepping for an event over the weekend. So if we get an event that says it's like campaign energy spending or Isotope 8 energy spending, completely free to play with the occasional good deal, very occasionally. Yeah.
And this is Jack's Annihilators.
Okay, so you've got Gladiator nearly on his way to 5 stars. You've got Gore already unlocked, and you're just coming up with Thanos at 39 shards. So what have you done differently to Gid? That would be my big sort of what has been different between yourself and Gideon? Has it all been luck? Is it lucky to play? Hey, Milk Duds.
Milk Duds. Oh, that's good.
You know,
there was a comment too I wanted to follow up before I forgot. It might be totally off the subject, but I wanted to address it real quick from Joe here.
Yeah, Waffle.
Yeah, I love that avatar, man. It's so dope.
Waffles are just pancakes with abs.
Right. Pancakes with abs, baby. I love this. It's crazy. But yeah, Sebi from the player voice. So I just wanted to definitely address that. Maybe we can get a chance to talk to her at some point. Man, she's done so much for this game, man.
She
so
has
much. And she's taking a break. We appreciate her. Sevi, if you're listening, or if somebody tap her on the shoulder, tell her we're talking about her. We really appreciate all you've done. I know it's a ton of work, and you do indeed deserve a break. Thank you for everything.
Yeah. I do think that we need to give Scopely time to figure this out properly. I think by never over a 6 drop on core orbs for Jack. Okay, that's
it's all good.
That's all good. That's
guaranteed.
Happened. Yeah. That can happen, and that can obviously up the average that you need for the for the orbs. I have noticed though that since I've been doing the 675 core orbs for characters, my luck seems to have increased slightly. Now, whether that's I can't really say that is true, but numbers would say that, eventually anything with averages, with numbers, all of that, the more times you go at it, the more likely you are to hit those bigger numbers. And I'm not talking about the big jackpot numbers. Those are your slot machine numbers. Those are the slot machine numbers. Don't pay attention to those jackpot unlocks. Those are the slot machine numbers. We need to look at the numbers that are slightly lower than that.
Like Phil said, he got 100 pull.
Yeah, lucky sod. I think the best I've had so far is 10.
But like that's not uncommon. Like it looks like the majority is 6, but 8 and 10 are not insane. Like, but that's like 25% between those two.
Yeah,
more than that. Like it's not an insane amount.
If you can just get a couple of 10s out of those 6, 7, 5 core orbs, that's like offset an orb already, if that makes any sense, at the minimum. So you only need a couple of like slightly lucky pulls to bring that average number of core orbs down. So as I said, from this point onwards, I have been tracking what I'm spending or how many power core orbs I'm opening to get a character unlock. And that's a full character unlock. So I'm not tracking, I'm not going, right, I've got 12 shards of Sentinel and I'm just going to core orb until I get the unlock. I'm going to core orb until I get to the 100 shard mark. So because I think we can probably say this, Gid, I don't want to get you in trouble, obviously, but I think the era of the 2 shard unlock is way behind us now. One of the comments that Ryan said on the meeting was the fact that they didn't feel that 2-star unlock characters performed very well. It didn't perform how they want it to perform as a character within the game. And that he would much prefer the 3 to even 4-star unlocks, I believe was mentioned within the thing. And we weren't under embargo about that. So,
well, they don't. I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, it's cool to have them, but like we remember, like Gambit,
Sasquatch.
Yeah,
Sasquatch was a 2-star.
Yeah, it's fine, but I think we would agree that they don't have any bite. You need more, and they also want to sell you some stuff. So,
yeah,
I don't know what the I can't remember what the sale price would be for a 2-star person. But you're pretty much guaranteed nobody's buying
it
that.
for about $30.
It was about $30.
I think it's about $30 for a 2-star unlock character.
Not Ugly is in the house. You're telling me this happened to you 4 times?
400 shard unlocks for Sentinel. Nice one, brother. That's who's stealing all your luck, Jack. That's who's stealing all your luck.
Not Ugly. Yeah, Not Ugly's getting all the drops. Oh my word. He's confirming. He's getting all the drops.
Nice one.
But I want to see your Sentinel, Jack. We can show you. We can show each other's here. We can look at each other's. See what the progress is so far.
Yes, milk it is.
Gamerai, what's up, brother?
Hey, Gamerai.
Man, yeah, the comments is rolling in. We'll take a second to look at it. Oh, but they coming in quick.
Mr. Steven's in the house as well.
You got Mr. Steven?
Mr. Steven is in the house.
Milk Dud wants to know about what's on that coffee cup. Mr. Steven.
It is a coffee cup that says a nice hot cup for coffee.
Oh, man. I shouldn't even let you show that. I didn't know that's what it said. Oh, my word. It's all good.
Do you want to know the worst thing about this? My daughter got me this cup.
That can happen, man. That can happen.
Mr. Steven, yeah, I think that's the disconnect. Players want the unlock even if it's not a viable star strength on them. Yeah, I completely understand that. This is a hero collector game, and you want to collect the heroes. I completely understand that. I'm going to flip this on its head, though, again. And I know the economy has gotten a lot better recently in the game, but there are so many players that I hear that have either gold problems or training material issues. So even if you've got the newest character unlocked, if you're having gold and training mat issues and you can't build them, what's the what's the difference between getting that unlock being a bit patient, maybe getting that unlock. And then when you unlock that character, you can actually take that character to, let's say, level 95 and gear to 18, and you can have that character immediately useful rather than it sitting there at level 1 in your account and possibly even being forgotten later on in the future. Because there's one thing I say, and I don't know how many of you watch my videos, but there's one thing I say in, because it feels better even though you can't immediately use them. Okay, so here's the thing, Jack, and this is a lesson from MSF for you. In my Build Positively videos, if you've seen them, obviously you can you can obviously say, there it is. Scientist Supreme still at level 1. That makes me really sad, Jack. That makes me really sad. She is an absolute beast.
She's good. Yeah, that's
and Lady Deathstrike. Oh my god, those two are insane. Yeah, not saying it's rational. I'm just saying I think that's what players want. Yeah, definitely, Mr. Steven. I think that is what they want. Now, I'm going to say something to you guys. Yeah, not ugly. Definitely. I think everyone needs to be patient and wait. There's one thing I'm going to say to you guys, and it's something I use in my Build Positively videos. So if you've seen this, I'm sorry, but I have a section in my Build Positively videos where I take you all to the car showroom. And basically, Marvel Strike Force and characters in Marvel Strike Force is like buying a brand new car. So if you go to a car showroom and buy a car, yeah, and you take it off the showroom floor, that car immediately starts depreciating in value as soon as you've walked out the showroom. Some cars lose even 50% of their value as soon as they walk off the car show court. Same can be said for Marvel Strike Force characters. The longer, I know that this is going to sound very counterproductive here, but the longer they are left unlocked, the more they're depreciating in the game. But also, the longer that you leave them unbuilt, they're depreciating in the game. Buying a car could be cheaper for some people.
Hey, man. He's not lying. The amount of money some cats spend.
He's not, man. I know. And I haven't got any figures for this, but again, I think we need to really approach this, this feeling that Marvel Strike Force makes a lot of money. And it does. Yeah, I'm not going to say they don't make a lot of money. But here's the thing, right? So let's say you have, let's say about 60% of the player base, which I think would be an average number for it. 60% of the player base is probably free-to-play players. Yeah, they don't spend a dime on the game at all. Now, if you're Scopely and you want $80 a month for your game, if that's what you've worked out that's what the license is costing you and everything like that, and all your overheads are costing you, so you need $80 a month out of a player to break even or maybe even make some money. Every free-to-play player that's doing that is adding $80 onto that total for someone else. Does that make sense, Gid? Yeah, so if you've got 40%, if you've got 40% of the player base trying to pay for 100% of the players that are playing the game, you're then having to try and push that limit of how much people spend upwards. And this is effectively what they're trying to do here. Now, we were told we weren't allowed to say the numbers, so we're not going to say the numbers. But that's what we've got to look at as players. There's a lot of players within Marvel Strike Force, but it's unfortunately data that we won't be able to get. But how many of those players are actually spending money? What is the budget for Marvel Strike Force? The Marvel license itself cannot be a cheap license. It's coming from Disney. It really, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to come at a cost.
Dude, I mean, here's a slightly different mindset, but I'll pause for a minute. I need to really. You kind of alluded to it earlier, and I think it's important, like we're saying. So this is my Orcus right now.
Yep.
We could take a look at yours. I think if you sent yours, we could take a look at yours as well.
I did send. Oh, I sent my Sentinel, didn't I? I didn't send my Orcus as whole. I can send it to you though.
It's all good. Sentinels, he's the guy right now. But like, so I like positive thoughts. So I was listening to a guy this morning, right? And a lot of the things that a lot of what we take in is negative, right?
Yep.
So we go to the internet and it's always, you can't do this. And we have our own doubts about ourselves. So we're constantly in our heart and in our mind, we're saying negative things to ourselves. We need to try to excuse some of that. But it's really easy on the internet to get caught up in the you can't, Scopely hates you. And that was the initial reaction.
Definitely. Yeah.
But that doesn't make like business sense to think that way. Scopely doesn't want to eliminate the free-to-play community because every free-to-play person in reality is a potential customer.
Correct. Yeah.
They're always throwing out those cookies for $5. Hey, we noticed you're 50 character shards short. Right? You've probably I got the pop-ups.
Yeah.
Hey,
you
$10. Here's some power. Here's enough to maybe get that next star and some dark promos. Right? They just keep throwing it out, and once in a while, we bite.
Yeah.
And then the job is to upsell you again from $5
to $10. Yeah.
To $10.
And that's the same with anything. It's not so much. I don't think this has gone. They've priced you out of buying any new tunes. I've gone completely free to play since Spider started. Yeah. And to be free to play, this is, in this game, being free to play is no different than being free to play in any other game of its type. Now, I did a bit of research. I'm going to do a big shout out here to two communities. So the first one, sorry for this, Gid, but is Hell Hades, is the channel name. Sorry, dude. I know that's
hey, that's the guy's name. That's the guy's name.
But the channel name is Hell Hades. His community, now that is a Raid Shadow Legends game or channel and community. And so I went and spoke to some members in that community, just trying to, find out what the character release cadence is. Because obviously this has been a big subject now, is this character release cadence, this how long it's going to take free-to-play players to unlock characters. So I basically went on there and I asked the question, what's the release cadence like in Raid? And basically in Raid Shadow Legends, no player can go in and buy a character day one. So we have that as a bonus in Marvel Strike Force already. We have the 675 power core orb that we can open if we've got the cores. And if you're a spender, you've got that option to immediately buy and unlock that character. The only benefit that people get in Raid Shadow Legends for characters is, if they're a spender, is that they get to open more of the shard orb type things that potentially will drop them a character. It is all RNG based in Raid. They do apparently do some characters do get what they call a guaranteed event in the game. Yeah. People don't see the two a direct trade-off, but I think they probably are. Yeah. I think Scopely's mistake was Mr. Stevens, mate. So I think Scopely's mistake was not making this change at the same time they made the farmability change. People don't see the two a direct trade-off, but I think they probably are. Yeah, definitely, Steven. So them making this farmability, this farmability thing, they have effectively kneecapped themselves, because everyone knows now within 6 months that they should have a 7-star character. That is the release cadence. So they've shot themselves in the foot with that. So the only way they're really going to make any money out of people who aren't the Krakens, this does not, let's get this out there right now. To the Krakens, this change makes no difference to them at all. They are going to go in, makes more money off the food over tunes. Yeah. So their resource mechanics within it are where Raid Shadow Legends makes its money to. But just saying, this is when we have talks with, or when we've had talks with Ryan Jacobson before, he has mentioned the likes of Raid Shadow Legends. He's mentioned the likes of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is what he wants to take Marvel Strike Force to be, not to mimic, but he wants them to be, wants Marvel Strike Force to be as successful as those two games. He wants them to be as longevity as those two games and as successful as those two games. But just saying, Raid Shadow Legends, it is completely and utterly random when you unlock a character in Raid Shadow Legends. Not all champions in Raid Shadow Legends gets a guaranteed event. So you could just go for years and years and years potentially without having that character drop for you, because they don't do guaranteed events. I then went over to Nooch Too Good. Now, this is a content creator that one of my sons follows, because he is a massive Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, massive Star Wars fan. I like how you don't have to log into Raid Shadow Legends 3 times a day. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I think this is the thing, though. This is the payoff. This is the sort of, you don't have to pay. You don't have to log into Raid Shadow Legends 3 times a day, but it's taking you a lot longer to get characters. Certainly over 60 days, which is what we've currently sort of been told that, you should have an unlock of a character within 60 days. I think if they told you that in Raid Shadow Legends, but said we're upping it to 3 times a day that you're gonna be logging in, I think you might change your mind as to how. That you would log in 3 times a day to get that character unlocked. Does that make sense, kid?
Yeah.
Anyway,
if you have
I went
graphics
over
on these, you can show them too. I don't have those, so I can't.
That's cool.
Only if you want. But
no, it's cool. So I went over to Nooch Too Good, and his thingy. We'll put some links to the channels. I'll send you them, Gid, and we'll put them in the description. But basically, in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, it typically takes a month after the release of a toon for it to become farmable. So unlike it at current, where we're getting shards for characters, what's that? One thing I noticed here is the passes are expensive. I compare this to the Call of Duty game on mobile, how their passes work. You get a pass for $5 to $6. And by the end of the pass, they reimburse. Yeah, so Milk Duds, that's very similar to the Fortnite sort of battle pass system as well, where you buy the pass once and you get the currency to be able to buy the pass again for free the next time around. And that's a really good thing. But games like Call of Duty, they're run by, much bigger studios than what Scopely is. Much bigger game companies than what Scopely is.
They're turning in money. I mean, though that's the engagement mechanic. It's a good thing, but that's the engagement mechanic. So if you fulfill the battle pass, then they refresh it so you can continue to fulfill the battle pass. And then along the way, hey man, it's the same thing, right? Hey, while you're here, we got some new gear. You could dominate your foes, or you could look really sweet with this new gear.
Yeah.
They keep you engaged that way, if that makes sense.
And
there's nothing wrong with that, but it keeps you in the game.
It does. And that does actually make you, I used to play Apex Legends, which is another shooter game. And that was very similar. You bought the battle pass once, and as long as you stayed engaged in the game, you'll be able to keep getting the battle pass season after season after season for absolutely nothing. But what that does do to you is you go, oh, I'm playing this game quite a lot, and I really like that skin, and that skin's 20 quid. or $20, for example. I'm going to buy that skin, or that skin's 50 quid. I'm going to buy that skin. I think that's MTG. Don't even talk to me about MTG.
What's that game? What's the abbreviation?
Magic the Gathering Arena. Now, as someone who used to play Magic the Gathering in real life, that game is expensive. I have spent more money than I would like to admit to. Anything like that on Magic the Gathering, and certainly its initial, its original game that they had, I spent way more money on Magic the Gathering than I would even like to contemplate to become competitive in that. And let's face it, this is the crux of it. People are getting frustrated because they want to stay competitive. And they're afraid that with this new release method, they're not going to be able to spend competitive. Well, here's the thing. If you're free to play, you cannot play every game mode. Well, you can play every game mode. That's the wrong way of saying it. You cannot focus on every game mode in Marvel Strike Force if you are free to play. That is the long and the short of it. I'm currently testing that based on the new economics within the game. But you really can't be competitive in every game mode if you are free to play. You have to pick a couple of lanes and go down those lanes yourself. I would recommend Arena and Raids. And it's a completely gacha game with a whole lot of draws and all that. They earn primarily on cosmetics. Every sort of new character is obtained by playing, and it can only be taken, even some people, to get the new gun in a day.
Oh, I mean, like that's what I'm trying to say. So my boys used to play, my sons, they used to play Destiny.
Yep.
And yeah, man. I mean, that stuff can add up. They used, before that, when they were younger, they played NBA 2K. So they want the VC, they want the credits, right? To power their guys up, and they're playing against other people so they can advance their leagues. Like it's the same system. It's just a different way of doing it in every way. Each company's trying to make the money. It's just, what are you willing to do?
To pay.
Not going to pay any money. Right.
What are you willing to pay? And what are you, this is the thing. As humans, a lot of humans, we are competitive in nature. Everything we, in life, we're competing. And we have done that. That's inbuilt in us from the first sort of as a first sort of like core instinct to us. We're competitive. We had to compete to survive. Sold all my tutors and Gaius Crable though for a lot of money. Yeah.
Oh, I used to play before this. I do want to get back to Jack's point. But I played Star Wars. What is this? It's been a while. It's the Knights of the Old Republic, but it's the online one, the multiplayer online one. And when they release new content, like the only way you can face off against the strongest content is you needed like whatever the top level of gear was. And the only way to get the top level of gear was to face off against the strongest content. So there was no easy way to get in unless somebody crafted the gear for you. And to get those pieces, that costs real money.
Yeah.
And so the crafters would buy, right? People who are excellent crafters, they would have to buy that stuff. And then they would craft this gear. And then they would get in-game currency, right?
Yeah.
But that was the way, that was one of the ways that they did it.
I used to play World of Warcraft. And not only did you have a subscription for World of Warcraft, so you had to pay to play World of Warcraft, and it was cheap. It was cheap. We were looking at £10 a month, I think it was, for World of Warcraft, which is, if we're comparing it to Marvel Strike Force, it's cheap. But if you wanted to be competitive in World of Warcraft, like I was in a top 3 guild for World of Warcraft. We were doing all the hardest content. You had your time put into the game. And when I say your time put into the game, I'm talking hours and hours. This is when I was a lot younger, obviously. But I could easily spend 12 to 14 hours a day playing World of Warcraft, trying to get the materials that you needed to farm, to do all these top level raids, to, you know, it's why like the Chinese gold farmers got so good, you know, and made the I see you smiling there, kid, but they used to have literally like almost sweatshops in China where they would have people being paid very minimal money to go onto people's accounts and farm gold, which you could then, you know, you would pay the gold farmers to sit on your account for 24 hours, just going around farming the gold the best way possible. It was obviously against the terms of service, but so many people did it. It was insane. But you had to, some people had to do that to stay in that top bracket. And this is no different, you know?
No, I get it. But I think, and I don't want to, like, I just think all this is going to take is just a change in mindset. Like a lot of what's going on, like we were saying earlier, and I'm going to start, I don't know how to do it. I need to make a little bit more noise about it, but I want to be respectful. Like the initial push comes from people that don't play the game like normal people.
Correct.
Right? Like, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody, but if it's a person who plays the game for a living and is sponsored by other games and they have a community that buys them characters and they can lean on that hundreds, right? However many people they have in a community, if they got hundreds, if they have even thousands of people that can give them advice and strategies on how to play the game, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not how the majority of us experience the game.
Correct.
So we got to take some of that with a grain of salt. I mean, both of us, we have different methods. I think we're showing that we can, that this is okay. We're getting the characters.
Yeah, we're getting the characters. We have different methods to doing it, but you know, I prefer, because of my, you know, my analogy of the fact that the longer you leave a character unlocked, the less the more their value is depreciating. And there are certain situations where you can do that. Like if we're talking about the Orcus team, there is one member of the Orcus team that I will not be coring for, and I will just let that slowly drip into my account, and that is Omega Sentinel. I don't feel she is the important member of the team, but certainly.
I don't mean to distract you. I was letting you.
That's fine. No, it's cool. You have the option to farm grind. That's the difference. We aren't getting the ability to grind this stuff out. I would argue we are getting the ability to grind this stuff out. A lot of the way you are earning those character shards now is by, I don't want to say engaging in the game, but participating religiously in the game. And when I say participating religiously, I mean, you know, if you're in a like the Annihilator's shown, doing your attacks at the weekend, which I think is a really good move from them doing that. They could have put that weekend warriors milestone where they've given us this influx of orbs. They could have done that all week. They could have made that a weekly milestone where you had to do that all the week. You know, they could have done that. If they wanted to be player unfriendly, they could have said, every week we're going to run this milestone. It's going to run daily, and you're going to have to do your 5 arena attacks daily to get these orbs, and you're going to get the same amount. Let's say they've got a budget of 36,000 orb fragments to give out every week. They've chosen to do this at the weekend when a lot of people are going to have a bit more time to be able to put into doing these 5 arena attacks, etc., etc. They could have been really unplayer friendly and put that in as a week event, you know, a daily event with a certain amount of orb fragments daily, a smaller amount of orb fragments daily. But they haven't. They've chosen to do it over the weekend. The same with the raiding. You know, we're getting the Sentinel shards now. The Orcus shards are coming from raiding. We're going to talk about the data mine on Nimrod, because I think that is a really, really harsh way to unlock a character. Are you happy for me to talk about that one, Gid? Are you aware of what's going on with that one?
I'm not,
so
but I'm afraid. But this real quick, I want to talk about what Jack said real quick.
Yep.
Because like this is one of those things. Like Jack, I 100% agree with you. I do. But like this is one of those things. Like if you anybody out here who's listening right now, like if you this is where you go and you talk to the player voice. If this is how you feel, because I'm not being disrespectful, but there's a lot of people that don't play the game like normal people. So if you want a grindy method, we have to like talk about that and make that known, because there's people that don't want it because they just want to bypass stuff and pay money, right? There's a I'm not no names, but like there's a content creator that says Blitz is he using expletive, game mode because he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't have to do it because he can bypass the grindiness with money. And I'm not saying that I think Blitz is the way to do it, but like they're the ones who messed up real-time arena because they were getting beat by normal people. Or we figured out how to write the initial real-time arena. You could get points by making a team that just worked. You weren't going to win, but if you could do 3 special moves, if you could do 2 ultimate attacks, right, that stacked up your score, and that's how you got through as a free to play. But other guys didn't like that because then they have to sit and fight the whole match for 5 minutes, even though they're going to win. So they complained that it should just be about winning. And like, we didn't push back on any of that stuff. So I really like what you're saying here, Jack. If we want this as people, then we gotta talk about that and figure out a way to do it, and don't listen again to people who don't play the game like normal people. I apologize.
Correct. No, it's cool, dude. It's cool.
They like your car analogy.
Yeah, and it's true, and that's part of, as I was just about to say, that was part of the reason why I do the character unlocks how I do them, rather than just get that slow drip of opening the one core orb like you do. I'd rather, as long as my core balance stays within sort of like enough cores to do me a week's worth of coring. So we're looking there at what, 1400 cores. As long as I'm above that 1400 cores once I've finished, I'm very happy to try to unlock a character straight out the gate, because I want to get them built and I want to get the most use out of them. And Mr. Stephen, that's a great point there. Ryan Jacobson doesn't make the money Scopely wants. It may be possible Scopely replaces him with someone less player friendly that can hit those money goals. And that is hit on the head. Plain and simple. And guys, Ryan is Gid. You've had one call with Ryan. I've had 2. I've been lucky enough to have 2 calls with him. No, I wouldn't rather have a new car sitting in the driveway with no gas in the tank. Exactly. I wouldn't rather have a new car sitting in my driveway with no gas in the tank. I'd rather have my old car with gas to drive the car, because that's the whole reason why I've got the car. Similar reason to why I've got the characters in Marvel Strike Force. I've got the characters in Marvel Strike Force to help me with the content that I'm doing. To get through the content that we're doing, to be able to help my alliance to push through the content that we're doing. Previous to getting Sentinel this last week, when he came out with his core orbs, my alliance was dogpiling down 1 lane in tech and 1 lane in Mystic. A few of us have managed to either get a very lucky drop on the Sentinel thing or do what I've done and cord for the characters. And we're now spread wide on the tech lanes. We're clearing the tech section because those 3 characters, Lady Deathstrike, Scientist Supreme, and Sentinel, they are all the characters that you need to actually be able to manually play the tech nodes. I play it every day with those 3 characters plus Penny Parker and Kestrel, and they get through the tech nodes no issues. What do you guys think of the kit of Big Rod Nimrod? Very, very good, Milk Duds. That his kit is, out of all the characters in that team, Nimrod, Sentinel, Scientist Supreme, Lady Deathstrike, they are your core characters for that team. Omega Sentinel is basically like the sprinkles on top. She adds a little bit extra of what everyone's already doing. So yeah,
I had to dig deeper. I didn't dig super deep. I'm a I don't know what you call it. I'm much more of like a literal person. Like I need to like see it. I need to do reps and reps and reps to feel it. So it takes a minute for me to be able to make those assessments. But I'll find out.
Definitely. You know, I mean, if you look at Omega Sentinel's kit, her kit is, she's got healing in her kit. Well, that's already on Scientist Supreme. She's got AoE attacks in her kit. That's already on Nimrod. So you've got those facets of each kit in the main four already. Lady Deathstrike brings you speed. She's 127. She's actually the fastest character on the team. So yeah. But going back to Mr. Stevens' thing about Ryan Jacobson, Ryan, I'll stick up for Ryan day in, day out. He is honestly one of the most straight talking, leaky buckets. You know, he is fairly open book. You know, was very honest about the fact that he didn't have the figures for those 675 core orbs over that for the free to play players because his analysts were busy doing other things. You know, but this guy is a huge, and I mean huge, Marvel fan. Marvel sort of runs in his blood. You see how Gideon's got his display back there with all his stuff, which is awesome. But I don't know if you paid attention to it, Gib, but Ryan in the back of his display where we were, because a lot of the Scopely employees are working from home now. He had like all the Marvel Legos, all the Marvel figures. You know, that was literally full of Marvel and Marvel like posters behind him and everything like that, and comics on the wall. And you couldn't get a bigger Marvel fan, I don't think, if you tried. And it's going, you know, I think it will go very well going forwards with Ryan, in all honesty.
Agreed. So I'm starting to run up against the wall for time.
Yep. Dude.
Are there any main points that you really wanted to hit on before we closed?
I am just looking. I don't think there is. I think we are okay. I grew up with X-Men, the animated series, Batman series. I read the comics, especially X-Men. I'm old. Yeah, same here, Jack.
It's good stuff.
I do want to bring up one fact, though. So Guardian, which is from Alpha Flight. This is the other team that isn't yet farmable in Marvel Strike Force. I don't know what everyone else's Guardians are looking like, but obviously you've seen my Thanos Endgame. He's sat at 4-star. You've seen my Gore. He's nearly, you know, he's on his way towards 5-star, but he's a 4-star as well. My Gladiator, who's had an event, is 5 stars. Guardian, my Guardian, who is a semi-farmable character. They're in the bumps and everything like that now. My Guardian sat at 48 shards of 200. Now, this is a character that is, you know, been out for a little while now. You know, they'll soon be coming farmable. They'll soon have their farmability, so that will soon go up quite quickly. But very similar scenario here with Guardian and Gladiator. You know, I've got the same amount of shards on them, yet Gladiator has been out a significantly less time. And I know I opened the core orbs for Gladiator, but you know, we are looking at a very similar scenario here from a longer period of time as a free-to-play player. And I think even if I was comparing eggs to eggs, I would only be 100 shards further on. So I'd be 148 out of 200. Whereas I'm currently
look at that.
Whereas I'm currently sat at 21 out of 200 for Gladiator, and he is, you know, and I called for him. you know?
I didn't think to look at that. I'll have to take a peek at where my guardian
So
is.
maybe again, before we start running in with the pitchforks, I think we also need to look at some of the older characters that we've got and, you know, that haven't yet become farmable and see where they are in the time period that we're in now.
No, man. And in addition, like, again, we're starting to, that's kind of a narrative that keeps coming up. We got to also remember there's different brackets of players. And so we got to start advocating for the way that you play. Like, I don't know who's all here. I don't know where you are in the strata, but if you're a free to play player or a cheap to play player, the game is like 6 years old. So there's multiple brackets of people, right? If there's 6 years, player voice brackets people by five buckets. 6 times 5 loose math is 30. Right? So 30 levels of strata that people move up and down in. Like, it's going to be different. But if you're a free or cheap to playish player, I'm getting my thoughts confused. You try to articulate your argument, submit it to the player voice, submit it on the normal Marvel Strike Force Discord. Scopely at this time is the most reasonable that they've ever been in the history of the game.
Yep.
And they will change their mind for a good argument. But Scopely sucks and I hate you. Those are not good. Those are not good arguments. You got to be articulate.
And also don't put expletives in, because as soon as you put an expletive in it, they will not look at it at all.
Yeah, because they got to show it to their boss. And they're not showing that to their boss.
No, not at all. And you've got to remember now that, you know, also let's remember that you have a community manager now in Pathfinder who is a former member of the community. He's a former player. If you don't think that guy is going to be fighting your corner for you, then yeah.
And he's in the play. He was, right? He can't be now, but he was leadership in the player voice. So that was a permanent member until he changed and became a Scopely member. But that's not an elected position. That was a permanent spot.
Miss Stephen, yeah, it's worse. We are also going from a very player-friendly period to a slightly less player-friendly period. That doesn't mean the game is player-unfriendly now. Voice of reason there, Mr. Stephen. Well done. And Zymergy, yeah, I did put your comment up, but the top 10 in Arena getting plenty of cores and coring for characters isn't sustainable long-term. I think with the change, though, coring for characters will be long-term, especially if you're using a strategy like Gideon's, where you are just coring every so often. Now, the one thing I'll leave it with this, because what we haven't gone over and what I haven't sent you actually, which I should have done, but I did go over it in my video on the character changes. One of the key character things that people haven't brought up for the free-to-play player, these events that we have currently, where it's like the Sentinel event, the Thanos event, yeah, not the Gladiator event. The Gladiator event, I'm not considering the Gladiator milestone, but the Gore milestone, the Thanos milestone, and the Sentinel milestone. If you look on those milestones at around about milestone 7, there is an orb that you get. And that orb is the 675 power core orb. So that means that orb is having to stay in the store for the length of time of the milestone, because they don't want to keep going back in and putting the orb back into the store when someone claims, when someone finally gets to milestone 7. They're still selling the orbs to be able to advance in those milestones. They're still giving us the orbs to advance in those milestones. So that core orb, unlike before where it was only in the store for like 10 days from the date when it was, when the character went off for initial offers, that core orb is now going to be in the store for at least 30 days. If not more, depending on what the length of time of the event, the milestone event is going on for that character. And so you're going to be able to do the method that Gideon does a lot easier. You're going to be able to pick up those 675 power core orbs as and when and just have them supplement that drip. And probably, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to see that I don't think you're going to be much further out on your character unlocks than what you were before. Maybe a week, maybe 2. If you use that strategy of just using 675 power cores to supplement what you get coming in, I think you will be a week or 2, further behind than where you were. Remember, beforehand as a free-to-play player, the first 7 days of that character coming out, you wouldn't have had any shards for that character unless you opened a 675 core orb. Like the first 3 days of me having Sentinel, I had 14 shards. So
no, it's different.
It's just getting used to listening to learning to play a different way. No one wants to listen to an angry person who's on a temper tantrum. It should not be submitted fueled with emotions. Correct. And let's face it, a lot of the videos that were made by content creators, and some of them are still probably fairly high on those emotions and are keeping on with it. But a lot of those videos that were made came right off the back pretty much of that call with Ryan Jacobson and reading that blog.
Yeah, they capture their emotions, which I get. That might be how they do things. They want to capture their time and when they're feeling it in the moment.
Yeah.
But in the same manner, right? Just like Scopely, they get mad because Scopely didn't provide any data. But at the same time, they're not providing any data. So just take it with a grain of salt. Feel the feeling. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but
nope.
Feelings shouldn't drive our actions. Feel the feeling. The feeling helps you to appreciate that you need to do something about the situation. Might not be right now, right? I can't just punch somebody in the face because I'm mad, but maybe I didn't like the way they spoke to me. I feel the feeling and that's okay. I separate myself from the situation, collect my thoughts. And if it's worth it, and I come back later, man to man, and I say, hey man, like I didn't appreciate what you said back there, or I didn't appreciate you saying that in front of my family, and if they're a reasonable person, then you can talk it out because you got the data. But if you go off your initial response and I just grab, a fire extinguisher off the wall and smack him in their face because he says something in front of my family, the penalty that I'm going to pay for that is so much greater than if I would have just waited and maybe we could hash it out and maybe our friendship could be salvaged.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's something that my dad certainly brought me up to, and people might laugh at this, especially in today's society, with this, with people, the likes of like the Andrew Tates and stuff like that, with this big sort of toxic masculinity going on. But my dad always brought me up, and I've brought my kids up the same way, that it takes a bigger man to walk away from a fight than it does to start one.
No, I agree, man. We all have power. We have strength, and we got to wield it appropriately. It's meant to, in my opinion, our power and strength that we have is meant to create. It's easy to destroy, right? How long does it take to build a house? I can bust a window in a second. How long does it take to build a house? But
why is it so? I think Jack's got a thing there that I think we should answer. Why is it suddenly so important to up the amount of money they want from spenders? Jack, I can probably answer you that quite simply. Because the number of big spenders that they used to have in the game has dropped. You've got to think, you had the likes of Tadano Mac, who used to spend big. You used to have Beta Ray Bill, who spent big. Tadano quit completely. Beta has gone into almost, I've seen him on the last leaderboard, I think it was, in the tops, but the last, leaderboard that we had, he was in like the top 10 players. But those people, they fixed everything else in the last year. They left fixing monetization for last. Correct, Mr. Steven. But they've also had a lot of big spenders leave the game. And again, going back to that thing that if we've got 60% of the players paying nothing to play the game, completely free to play, and they've got a figure in their head that they need $80 a month from people to keep this game going.
And the cycle starts over, right?
Yeah.
So they went through, they changed everything about the game, and now they start, like, my illustration always is it's like a rubber band. Like right now, like you said, no disrespect, but like if Doolum can punch up into like the top 30 in Crucible, and he's not spending any money. We just got to be honest. Like the band is too tight. It's too close. So they're going to spread it out. And then over the next year or two-ish, we are going to, that's how it just keeps going. We're going to get bunched back up, and then they make another adjustment.
Yeah. And Mr. Stevens correct. They fixed everything else in the last year. Let's not forget they fixed the new player experience. That is better than it ever has been. It was miserable when I started this game 2 years ago. I also blame Doolum for this. Yes. Shut up, Doolum.
He's too good. He's too good at the game.
On the in regards to Doolum, and I want to give him a shout out for this one. I really did like the fact that he released his initial take video on the changes. And then I don't know if you noticed this, but early on this week, he obviously had the weekend to think about it. He had the weekend to analyze it a bit more, to go over a strategy for himself. Because again, that's the thing. It's change. You've got to process these changes in your head as to what you're going to do. Doolum did that, and he came back out and went, do you know what? Actually, maybe we were wrong. Maybe we need to give this a bit of time. This is how I'm going to approach it. Cosmic Crucible is my mode. That's where I'm going to focus to. And that's exactly what I was just saying to you guys, is that if you're free to play, you need to either find a mode that you really like. So if you're a big warhead, go all in on war. It's your game. You play it your way. But Jack, I'm gonna put this to you now. So if over the last year we had the most player friendly, free to play friendly, best state of the game it's been. If it's not broke, don't fix it. It's not broke in your eyes, but if it doesn't make the money that they then can't afford the licensing to be able to bring new characters into the game, does that then break the game? This whole game revolves around them bringing their monetary factor. If they don't bring any new characters out for us to collect, the game dies. And I believe the licensing works that way, where they've got to, every time they bring a new character in, that license is going to go up, because they've got more assets of Marvel to be using. No one's going to go in and buy the rights to use everything from Marvel, because that would be insanely expensive.
My doggies. So my doggies is getting restless here. I'm gonna need to let them out.
Cool, dude.
I'm gonna need to let them out. But no, man, I really appreciate you coming out. And I appreciate everybody else. Like Milk Dud, you hit it right on the head, brother. You hit it right on the head. I like it, man. It's that man up stuff. We need more of that positive.
Yeah,
that positive manliness. It's good, and it's okay to feel what we're feeling, and it's okay to talk about it. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's good. We just guys freaking out. I just don't like that.
No, neither do I.
Don't like that. But hey, definitely everybody, thank you so much. BPG, thank you. You wanted to do this.
Brother.
I'm glad we got it together.
I'm glad we did get this together, and everyone that's turned up tonight. Today, tonight, wherever you are, tonight, if you're like me in the UK, brilliant, guys. Thank you ever so much. Mr. Stephen, thank you. Mergy, Jack, all of you. And guys, if you've got anything, if you want to ask us anything more or anything like that, leave a comment down below, and I'll stick around and try to answer some comments to you guys. Yeah.
Appreciate everybody, man. Try to enjoy your day. Take care of yourself and your family. Do the right thing.
Stay positive, people.
That's a good one. Stay positive. Peace out, bro.